Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the regular Temple City City Council meeting to order. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Thank you. Councilmember Fish?
Here.
Councilmember Mann?
Here.
Councilmember Sternquist?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Yu?
Here.
Mayor Chavez is absent tonight.
Motion to excuse Mayor Chavez for cause.
Second.
All right, hearing no objection, Mayor is excused. Next couple items are the invocation and also Pledge of Allegiance. But before we start, let me read a few things about Pastor Walden and also about Troop 174, who will be doing this flag ceremony. Pastor Walden is from First Baptist Temple City, First Baptist Church of Temple City. He has been at the church for almost 3 years, been in full-time ministry as a pastor for 29. And he's the lead senior pastor of the church, but he has an associate pastor and 9 other staff members who work with him. And 2 other churches worship on their campus. Ketchen Baptist Church, I guess they do their service in Burmese, and Rock Mountain Baptist Church as a Chinese congregation with services in Mandarin. And Troop 174, I used to be involved in the scouting work a little bit. They're actually known in our area as a high adventure troop. They will provide a flag ceremony and Pledge of Allegiance. Their scoutmaster is Mr. Alan Lee. The weekly troop meeting is held on Thursdays from 7:30 to 9:30 at the Westminster Presbyterian Church near the corner of Live Oak and Temple City Boulevard. The scouts will be doing the flag ceremonies are Jason Liang and Jason Haas, Dexter Lee, and Derek Lee. The next big event, and listen to this, is their annual survival camp out from October 10th to October 11th. It will take place at Bell Mountain near Victorville. And this is what they do. The scouts will practice their wilderness survival skills and simulate the aircraft crash scenario. They'll build shelters using plastic sheets, set up water cell for water collection, and design snails to trap animals for food. Hopefully you guys are not eating bugs. It is the official start of their new scouting year. So with that, would you please rise, and we'll invite Pastor Walden.
Thank you. Let's pray. Father, thank you so much for how you love Temple City. All through your word, you talk about cities, and you care for us. I think, Lord, that's been most well seen today with the rain. We can't thank you enough for bringing the rain that we so desperately need. You are the God who provides, and you are faithful. I ask that you would protect this town, that you would give great wisdom to these leaders who lead in our government, and we will thank you for your faithfulness. All in Jesus' name we say, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Troop 174.
Detail, forward march. Detail, halt. Post.
All those not in uniform, please put your right hand over your heart. Scout salute. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Detail, about, face. Detail, forward march. Detail, halt. Post. Detail, about, base. Detail, forward march.
All right, thank you, Troop 174. Please be seated. The next item is the ceremonial presentations, and we have the great pleasure tonight, as you see some new faces here, it's the introduction of the Australian exchange students. For those of us who may not be as familiar, Temple City actually has sister city relationship with two cities. One is Magdalena de Quino in Mexico since 1964, except that we haven't been really too active with that, and with Hawkesbury City in Australia since 1984. So the local city, Sister City Association coordinates an active exchange program with Hawkesbury City, including an annual student exchange program, as well as a biannual adult ambassadors trips. Temple City Sister Association has been hosting Australian students for 15 years. They have hosted about 94 students to date. And every summer, 6 Temple City students are sent to Hawkesbury City, Australia, for a 4-week program including homestay with a host family, attendance at the secondary school, community activities, as well as visits to attractions like museums and theaters. In the fall, we reciprocate the hospitality. 6 Hawkesbury City students visit Temple City to participate in similar activities. And then the adult ambassadors trips are coordinated by the Sister City President, Steve Terry. So at this time, we'd like to call on Mitzi Franco and Jenny Vicario, Vice President of the Australian Student Exchange Program, for the Sister City Association to introduce the exchange students.
I have all my babies coming up. Hi, I am Mitzi Franco, and this is Jenny.
Hi, Mitzi.
And we'd like
Jenny.
to thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Vincent Yu, and the city council members for having us here tonight. We also would like to thank you for your continued support within the program. We have the 6 recipients and some of the host family, or the students that we had last year here, and it is just a wonderful program. I've been doing it for 10 years and hosted, I think, 10 kids, and it's just been awesome. So thank you for your support, and we're
you.
going to go ahead and let the students introduce themselves so that we can hear their accents, and
All
they'll
right.
just kind of share about what they've been doing.
G'day,
Okay.
my name's Fergus Ryan. I want to thank my host family, Tim and Shelley. They've been really great for me so far. The one thing I do really like about America is just witnessing your way of life. It's been really interesting just to see how you guys do different things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Brooke Gibson. I'm 15 years old and attend Hawkesbury High School. I'd like to thank the Carmona family for accepting me into their family. One of my favourite things so far is the school football. It's amazing to see the school spirit and just how they support their team. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name's Amy Schultz, and I'd just like to thank all of you for supporting this program. It's really amazing. We wouldn't be here without you. I also want to thank both my host families, the Huang family and the Silverstone family, which I'm yet to stay with, but they're really awesome. I like the school the most. It is amazing. I like how dedicated all the students are to their work, and also the school spirit is absolutely amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Hello. Oops. Hello. I'm Amy Fradd and I'm 17 years old and I attend Arndale Anglican College. I'd like to thank my host family, the Wongs, for welcoming me into their home and their community, and I'd also like to thank the council for allowing all of us to have this amazing once-in-a-lifetime opportunity as we experience new friendships and new memories that will last forever. My favourite thing that I've enjoyed the most would have to be Disneyland. Absolutely loved it. So thank you so much for allowing us to have this opportunity.
Hi, my name is Alyssa McAuliffe. I'm 15 years old and I'm staying with the Pinedo family. I'm really enjoying my time here and thank you for making this all possible, and I'm loving this experience. And my favourite thing being here so far that I've done was probably the LA County Fair. I really did enjoy trying the interesting foods that were there and going on the many rides. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
G'day, how you going?
Hey.
My name is Thomas Smithers. I'm 17 years old and I'm absolutely loving America. I would really like to reach out and thank the Mock family for hosting me, of which my beautiful host mother Jane is sitting down there. The one thing which I've really noticed about LA, as I have a passion for music, is the music scene. There are so many different music record shops and like instrument shops, and there's always artists trying to sell you their tapes and things. And I find that awesome, the fact that they're always trying to promote the music culture of LA. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Oh, don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet.
Don't sit down.
We have a few things for you guys, but how about that accent? Isn't that marvelous?
It's wonderful.
Actually, just for the record, so in case you're curious, which 6 high school students from us have gone to Australia, they are Cassandra Carmona, Tana Solano, Jessica Huang, Agnes Mock, Adriana Pinedo, and Amber Wong. I guess you guys are staying at their parents' house, right? So at this time, we have a few gifts here. So I would like to ask the counselor to help me present it to you and then have pictures taken. All right?
Hey, man. Oh, I like them.
At this time is our public comments on items not listed on the agenda. I have several speaker requests. So whoever still want to address the council, please come on up. And then there's a white form at the end that you please fill that out. And the first person I would like to ask to come is Jerry.
Good day, mates.
Good day.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, you and council members. My name is Jerry Jambasian, 9136 Los Tunas Drive, Temple City. Today marks a great anniversary, and I'd like to just offer my sincere congratulations to our city manager, Brian Cook, for completing 1 year today. So he has had a profound impact upon Temple City, and it's just been great having him here. There's a new sense of community here and openness and ethics, and it's great. And just as a side note, I remember 10, 15 years ago, it's just great to have a city manager and a city attorney that are two different people. So that is very nice. So I offer my congratulations to Brian, and many more years to come, so thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Jim Basian. Next person we'd like to call up is our former mayor, Mr. Carl Bloom.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Yu and members of the City Council.
Good evening.
My name is Carl Bloom, 6224 North Hart Avenue, Temple City. I'm here to talk about our Neighborhood Watch program. We worked hard for the last 5 or 6 years to really develop a good Neighborhood Watch program. A very disturbing thing took place along our street about a week and a half ago. We had a private drone down our street and in the backyard of homes. And the call to the sheriff's department, they basically said, there is nothing, there are no laws, there is nothing, we can't do anything, we can't talk to anybody, we can't do anything about it. And we have gone from a neighborhood watch of us trying to watch the negative element in our community to somebody else watching us, and we have no control over it. The sheriff has no control over it. So I'm urging you to adopt an urgency or emergency ordinance banning the use of private drones in our city until we can figure out. I know the feds are trying to figure it out, and we don't need to go asking other cities at this point. I think it's a serious enough problem in our city. Let's adopt an emergency ordinance banning them, then we can figure out things from there. Otherwise, I think this is going the wrong direction. It's invasion of privacy. It's very scary to have these things drop into your backyard, look into your house and observe your family and everything else. And you don't have a clue who they are or where they're coming from. So thank you very much.
Right, thank you for that comment, Mr. Bloom. Next, I would like to call Mr. Steve Stafford.
Mayor, you, council members, city staff, as of yesterday, I've discovered that there are 3 intermediate care facilities for the developmentally disabled next to Cloverleigh School. There's already been some problems there, and I don't think it's the place to have care facilities for the developmentally disabled next to Cloverleigh School. There's actually potentially 3 of them. I know there's 2. One's at 9556 Cloverleigh. The residence next door there has been converted, and I think the house with the little houses and back there on the corner of Temple City Boulevard and Broadway has been converted. You got 3 of them in a row there. I'm doing some more investigating on this. I uncovered it yesterday talking to the State Department of Social Services. And this is not good next to 2 schools. You got Cloverleigh next to one of them, cat a corner across the street, you got St. Luke's Church and School. It's just,
Mr. Stafford,
to
you're
me,
saying these are care facilities?
they're called, this is what I was told by the state, they're intermediate care facilities for the developmentally disabled.
Right,
And to me, it's just not good. It scares me a little bit knowing they're there. The things that I've seen at St. Luke's Church, going to church there, that I didn't know why, now I do know why. There was a skirmish, a little fight between 2 of the residents there out on Broadway. It just, things I saw at one point, one evening, there was one of the people there going through the trash that was posted near Broadway and Temple City Boulevard. They were throwing it on the sidewalk on the street, and I called the sheriffs and they dealt with it. The problem is, I don't think anybody knows what's there except me now. And it just kind of stunned me yesterday when I found out. I also like to say, Brian, you are the best city manager that I've seen here thus far. And I hope you stay here for a long, long time because you're doing a hell of a job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stafford.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Going once? Twice? Okay, well, public comments closed. Next item is consent calendar. All consent calendar items may be approved in a single motion as recommended by staff unless removed for further discussion. I know that staff would like to actually want to pull item F, the approval of the MOU between the county and the city. Barring that, are there any items that need to be pulled? Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Except
Except
item
for
F.
item F.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Fish?
Yes.
Councilmember Mann?
Yes.
Councilmember Sternquist?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yu?
Yes. So the consent calendar, except item F, has been approved. And at this time, I'd like to ask Mr. City Manager to lead us on this item.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Yu. In light of those nice comments, there's a little boo-boo on my part here with this item. What we did not include in this item was an additional appropriation that we needed to make for about $9,000 related to the actual contract amount. We had budgeted approximately $126,000 total for the program for the National Pollutant Discharge Program. Essentially, for the general public, that is the stormwater monitoring, abatement stuff that we have to do. Early on this year, we thought that amount for this individual program, this is about one of 8 monitoring programs that we do, we thought it was going to be about $21,000. It turned out to be about $29,000, as noted in the staff report. So to be a little more proactive, we'll, if you would indulge us with a motion to appropriate an additional $9,000 from undesignated fund balance for that. And as we get through the mid-year, we'll be able to report back on how that's actually tracking. Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion, questions? Pardon me. I was just taking some painkiller. I just had my
You're doing really
a
good.
root canal operation right before the council meeting, so pardon me for taking a painkiller in the middle. But I think I'm still sane and awake. So, if hearing no questions or discussion item, I'm ready for a motion.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion to approve item F on the consent calendar. In addition to that, to appropriate $9,000 from the undesignated fund balance to provide for this MOU.
Do we have a second?
Second?
All is moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Yes. Councilmember Fish?
Yes.
Councilmember Mann?
Yes.
Councilmember Sternquist?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yu?
Yes. All right. Next item is public hearing. There is none. Unfinished business. There is none. And we have a number of new businesses. So the first item is first reading and introduction of ordinance number 15-1006, an ordinance amending chapter 5.5 budget reserve fund balance requirements. Director House,
Great.
would you like
Thank
to lead
you.
us
Good
that?
evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. In order to meet the City Council's objectives of maintaining budgeted reserves for fund balances, it is recommended that the City Council adopt the attached ordinance amending the reserve thresholds to accurately reflect the purposes of the reserves for emergency disasters, liquidity, and local economic uncertainty. The adoption of an ordinance is the best practice to ensure budgeted reserve levels cannot be changed without a thoughtful process of a 4/5 vote of the council. So as a result, tonight we are recommending that you introduce ordinance number 15-1006 for the first reading by title only, waive further reading of ordinance number 15-1006, and schedule second reading for October 6, 2015. That includes my staff report, unless you have any questions.
Any questions for Director House? In essence, for those of you curious what this is really affirming what the council had done some years ago and setting up the reserve funds, and this is reformalizing that in a new ordinance. So I'd like to open up for public comments. Hearing none, I'd like to close public comments. Any council comments on this item? Hearing none, then I'm ready for a motion.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number 15-1006 for first reading by title only, to waive further reading of this ordinance, and to schedule the second reading for October 6, 2015.
I'll second.
All right, it's moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Fish?
Yes.
Councilmember Mann?
Yes.
Councilmember Sternquist?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yu?
Yes, so this item has been approved. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the title of the ordinance?
Ordinance number 15-1006, an ordinance of City Council of City of Temple City, California, amending Chapter 5.5 Budget Reserve Fund Balance Requirements and Title II Administration of the Temple City Municipal Code.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the next item, item 10B, traffic calming measures for Encinita Avenue between Las Tunas Drive and Broadway. Actually, item 10C is very similar to that, so, but we'll first deal with 10C is really for Arden Drive between Danes and Lower Sousa, but we'll first deal with this section of Encinita Avenue between Las Tunas Drive and Broadway. So,
Thank
Director
you.
Forbes, staff report, please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. The two items are very similar, and our recommendations on the two of them are very similar, but I do have brief presentations for each of them. Encinita Avenue, looking at the segment specifically between Las Tunas and Broadway, was specifically identified in the traffic calming master plan that was adopted by the City Council in 2012 as one street that was a potential area of concern for speeding. Earlier this year, we received a request from a resident along this stretch of street requesting that the city take a look at the speed along the street to see if any traffic calming measures were warranted. TransTech, the city's contract traffic engineer, did a study on the street, including a speed survey, looking at the traffic accident history, as well as looking at the requirements for the possibility of installing four-way stops at the intersections of Encinita and Live Oak and Encinita and Workman. The results of that analysis were that most of the vehicles on Encinita are traveling at or below the speed limit, and specifically the 85th percentile speeds on the street are consistent with the posted speed limit of 35 miles an hour. The traffic collision rate on the street is relatively low. There were 6 reported collisions from 2010 to 2014, which is the last year for which the data is available. And the complicated mathematical equation that gives you the collision rate, which is based on the volume of traffic, the length of the street segment, and the number of accidents, gives you a collision rate of 1.49, which is lower than what would be the expected rate on this street of 1.98. So what that is showing is that the collision rate is lower than would typically be expected for this street. For the intersections of Encinita and Live Oak and Encinita and Workman, TransTech looked at the criteria or the warrants that are required under the California Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices and the California Vehicle Code to determine if it would be possible to put four-way stops at either of those intersections, and TransTech found that the warrants could not be met at either of those intersections. And those warrants are typically based on things like number of accidents, traffic volume, pedestrian volume, and general safety and operational issues at the intersection. So those criteria were not met, meaning that there's not evidence at this time to support putting in four-way stops at those intersections. So what TransTech is recommending, and Jana from TransTech is here in the audience this evening in case the council has any questions on the study or on the recommendations. TransTech's recommendations are, first of all, to do some targeted traffic enforcement, which we will be working with the Sheriff's Department through our motor deputy that we have in this year's budget to do some targeted enforcement at this location. Traffic calming measures, which include installing solid white stripes on both sides of the roadway 9 feet from the curb, which is what we recently did on Muscatel. And the before and after data for Muscatel shows that the speed, average speed on that street went down by about 3 miles per hour. So the stripes have been shown to be effective in that location, and we expect that they would be here also. Another recommendation is to remove the existing speed limit signs. Speed limit would remain the same, but the speed limit signs would be replaced with oversized 36-inch tall speed limit signs to make them more visible. Also installing signal ahead signs, both approaching the intersections of Las Tunas and approaching the intersection of Broadway, just to make motorists more aware of the traffic signals there. As well as installing the signal ahead pavement legends in the street to go with the signs. In addition to these traffic calming measures, we're also recommending some decorative elements to be included on the street, yet to be identified. As I'll discuss in a minute on Arden, we're going to recommend there a Welcome to Temple City sign. This segment of street does not connect with a city boundary, so Welcome to Temple City may not make sense here. So we don't know exactly yet what we're going to do, but we're going to find something to, while we're putting up the other signs and the pavement markings, to do something other than a traffic control device to go along with it, to be determined. And we're estimating a cost of no more than $1,000 to do that. So we've requested the budget amendment to include that. That concludes my presentation, and Jana and I are happy to answer any questions.
I want to start off with a quick question. The staff report mentioned radar and force plaques. How do they work?
The plaque is just a sign. So you have your 35 mile per hour speed limit sign, and then below that is a smaller sign that just says radar enforced, and that's
okay,
just
telling people.
That's notifying motorists that there might be a deputy sitting there with a radar, and that's how the speed limit is enforced.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for staff or Mr. Forbes?
Just a quick one, actually, to follow up with Mayor Pro Tem's comment, because in the TransTech report there was mention of radar feedback signs. So is that part of the recommendation to have that at the street, or only the radar enforced plaque?
That is not part of this recommendation. We have looked at those at other locations, and that could be, if these measures are not effective, then it could be something we would look at as a potential future measure. Those signs are expensive, so that's why we aren't necessarily recommending it as the first phase in this. Jana, was there anything else to say on that? Yeah, it's primarily a cost issue. They're not cheap to purchase. So if these measures are not effective, then we could look at that as a future step.
Any other questions? No. Thank you, Director Forbes. At this time, I'd like to open up for public comments. Anyone like to? I have one speaker request, but Mr. Stafford. Yes.
Mayor, you, council members, city staff, I've studied this out, and I think the measures that Michael Forbes was saying are the best approach to this. When it comes time for Arden, there's one thing that probably should be done there, but I think that it's a good approach at this point. I think if it needs, more measures need to be done, that's fine. But I think it's a very good approach with the white lines. I've seen that in other cities, and it does slow traffic down. When it comes time for Arden, I'll speak there, and there's one thing that should be added. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Any other public comments? Hearing none, I'd like to close public comments. Any council comments before we consider a motion? No?
Just one quick thing is you mentioned the targeted police enforcement. Will that in any way take away from the streets that we've already designated as part of the, I guess, suite of streets that we designate for police enforcement? Or because we have a $50,000 amount, I believe, that was appropriated. Does it in any way take away from that?
It doesn't take away from it. We have enough hours. We think with that 50,000, we believe it gets us enough hours that we can spread the enforcement around as needed. And we're not necessarily going to target the same locations month after month. We may look at doing different streets, different months. So it shouldn't take away enforcement from any other location. We think we have enough time that we can cover all the places we need to.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
Okay. I'll make a motion.
All right.
I'd like to motion to approve the implementation of traffic calming measures on Encinitas Avenue between Las Tunas Drive and Broadway, as recommended in the memo dated April 3rd, 2015, from the city's contract traffic consultant, Transtech. Also to approve the installation of decorative elements in conjunction with the traffic calming measures and appropriate $11,000 from the general fund unassigned fund balance to be transferred to account number 21-960-74-4255, traffic signs and stripping maintenance, stripping pavement to fund the recommended traffic calming measures and decorative elements.
Thank you, Councilmember Fish. Do we have a
Second.
second? All right. Thank you. It's moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Fish?
Yes.
Councilmember Mann?
Yes.
Councilmember Sternquist?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yu?
Yes. Next item is item 10C. Again, Community Development Director Forbes will be giving the staff report on traffic calming measures for Arden Drive between Danes and Lower Susa.
Thank you. As you noted earlier, this is a very similar item with a little bit different recommendations, but very similar. We're talking about Arden Drive between Danes Drive and Lower Azusa Road, which is the full length of Arden within Temple City there. This street was also identified in the 2012 Traffic Calming Master Plan as a location of speeding concerns. Transtech did a similar study here as to what they did on Encinitas. The findings were a little bit different in that the speed limit here is 30 miles per hour. However, the 85th percentile is consistent with a 35 mile per hour speed limit. So generally, vehicles are exceeding the speed limit by an average of 5 miles an hour based on the 85th percentile. The collision rate, however, on this street is also very low. There were 3 reported collisions between 2010 and 2014. The collision rate, again, based on the equation, is 0.637, which is significantly lower than what the expected rate of 2.61 would be. As with Encinitas, Transtech did a warrant analysis to determine if a 4-way stop would be appropriate at the intersections of Arden and Freer and Arden and La Rosa, and Transtech determined that the required criteria for putting in 4-way stops, again, were not met at either of those intersections. So in light of that, Transtech's recommendations for Arden, again, targeted traffic enforcement using the sheriff's deputy, replacing all of the existing speed limit signs along the street, again with oversized signs, 36 inches, as well as putting in pavement legends on the street, reminding drivers that it's 30 mile per hour. Replacing the faded stop ahead signage approaching Olive Street and also approaching Danes with the stop ahead legend to remind motorists that there is a stop sign coming up. Restriping the existing yellow center line of the street, which is faded, so not a new measure, but just restriping what's there existing. Replacing the stop signs at the intersection of Olive and Arden with the oversized stop signs, which are 48 inch by 48 inch, which are very large, and putting always stop plaques beneath those signs. And as well as that, putting signs at the intersection of Danes and Arden with the cross traffic does not stop signs to remind people stopping there that it is not a 4-way stop, and hopefully caution them against pulling out in front of somebody. Also replacing speed limit signs with the school. The school signage that's there now is outdated signage, and there's an updated standard for that. So just replacing that with the current standard of sign. And then the biggest change, again, installing the white stripes on both sides of the street to give the impression of a narrower street and hopefully slowing down traffic there. This would also include the decorative element, which in this case, since the Lower Azusa is the border of the city coming into the city, our intent is to put some kind of welcome to Temple City sign at that location to welcome people into the city that are coming in on Arden. The estimated cost of this is more than Encinitas, primarily because of the length of the street, and the distance of striping is quite a bit longer than on Encinitas. As well as there are more signs to be replaced here. So the total estimated cost of the improvements here is $25,000 plus an additional $1,000 for the decorative sign. So we're recommending a budget transfer of $26,000 to cover these improvements. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? No. Thank you, Director Forbes. This time I'd like to open up for public comment. And again, Mr. Stafford has a speaker request here.
Mayor Pro Tem, council members, city staff, one of the things that I spoke to Michael Forbes about this is at the curve at La Rosa, putting up the yellow warning signs that say slow down with the drawing up of a curve right there, because that can be kind of a blind curve there, the way it curves. And I think there should be some signs there warning of the curve. That will slow drivers down. Another thing, northbound Arden at Danes, there should be a sign there stating hospital, because there's a hospital right there, the Santa Anita Convalescent Hospital at Danes and Arden. And I think these signs there would slow people down. People know they gotta slow down at a hospital. People know when they see a blind curve, that there's no sign warning of that. With the curve, I don't know if you've seen those before, but if those signs are there, it will tend to slow drivers down. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. Anyone else would like to speak? Okay, with that, I'd like to close public comments. Director Forbes, do you like to respond to some of the comments?
Yeah, I just spoke with Jana about it, and we can take a look at it. The type of curve sign that I think Mr. Stafford is talking about is typically for more of a curve. This is more of a jog, I guess, if you will. So it may or may not be appropriate at this particular location, but we can take a look at it, and if TransTech determines that it would be appropriate, we can add that to the improvements.
All right, thank you.
Can I make a motion?
Well, any other comments first? Any comment? Actually, I want to make one comment, if I may.
You're allowed.
We're looking at the clock here. We're trying to beat the clock and try to set a record, I guess. I just want to make a comment. I think too often we hear about people saying, well, as a city, you guys do all kinds of study. You hire these expensive consultants, and but nothing gets done. Anyways, report after report after report. But I think tonight what we're looking at is a result of the end result of our studies. So 3 years ago, when we did our traffic calming master plan, we identified certain streets, and we have public hearings, community hearings, meetings, and we identify sections of the streets that needs traffic calming. And what we're seeing tonight is a result of that. So I just want to put a footnote to that, and it's just that it's not just doing reports. We are putting them, we are implementing them into our city. So with that, I can entertain a motion.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the traffic calming measures for Arden Drive between Danes Drive and Lower Azusa Road with the recommendations listed on page 5 of the agenda, items 1, 2, and 3.
All
Second.
right. Nice and short. Thank you. So it's moved and seconded. Madam Clerk?
Thank you. Councilmember Fish?
Yes.
Councilmember Mann?
Yes.
Councilmember Sternquist?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yu?
Yes. So the motion carried. This item has been approved. Next item is communications. There is none. And next item is update from Mr. City Manager on water conservation.
I'm going to leave that to the report that you and Councilmember Fish are going to give, but I do have a couple quick updates real quick. Latest issue of Connect should have hit people's mailbox. If you don't, then we have copies in and around. It is a focused edition showing both the respect and the gratitude that we have to our local veterans. There's some neat infographics specific to veteran issues in Temple City, and there are several profiles of several local residents who have served our country well. It's an issue we're all, staff is collectively very proud of. We have community members who help us out with Connect as well. Amber Lee, who's on the youth committee, and Jerry Jambazian, who always helps us out with photos as well on this. It's an issue I think we're, as staff, is really proud of. Some special kudos to Brian Haworth, who worked really hard on this edition. The update on the storm, Mayor Pro Tem, that we had yesterday, it's always a test of our systems. Nothing extraordinary, but the good work of Mr. Martinez and his crew helping sure that storm drains are cleared. The one area that the community may see a lot, and I did report this to the council this morning, is Hilo and Lower Azusa. And just very briefly, that really there's not a lot of options there. It's literally the topography or the way that part of the street is elevated. I'm not a geologist or an engineer, but it's the topography of that area, and it's always going to flood, even if we try to do some engineering around it. We try to mitigate as much as we can, but it's a tough one. We have the signage out, and I drove it this morning, saw people splashing all over. It's one area that's, if El Nino is coming, that is going to be a constant problem for our neighborhood. But the other parts of our storm drain system and everything else did pretty well. Even a little tweak on Rosemead today did really well as well. Lastly, Mayor Pro Tem, is staff has been taking strong advantage of our relationship with the California Joint Insurance Authority. We've gone through about 4 trainings in the last month and a half. They're part of the program that we pay for to get our insurance, and staff is very much up to date on latest techniques on confined spaces, heat, dealing with the heat, and a bunch of other things. And there's a group of us who will be going up to the JPIA conference. I'll be going up for a day to get some more sense of, one, what are the issues with insurance liability and workers' compensation, and just general safety precautions that we can take in protecting our employees. So that's my update for this evening, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
City Manager. Any updates from Mr. Vale, our City Attorney? All right, thank you. Next item is City Council reports regarding ad hoc or standing committee meetings. I know that staff had actually reminded that the Rosemead Boulevard Improvement Project Standing Committee may be considered, we may consider sunsetting that, but since this is the committees were appointed by Mayor Chavez, so I think we should defer the sunsetting of that ad hoc committee till he gets back. So, any other reports?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem. I'd like to report on the ad hoc for Facilities, Public Works, and Infrastructure Committee.
Right.
And so, Mayor Pro Tem, you and I are part of the ad hoc committee for Facilities, Public Works, and Infrastructure. And this past week, we were able to meet and discuss with city staff with regards to our city's pavement management plan. And just a brief overview, about 2 years ago, our city contracted with Harrison Associates to put together a pavement management plan that essentially tells us what the conditions of our roads stand at this point in time. And what we wanted to do, and what staff had successfully done along with TransTech, is we've asked them to take that technical document that details all the different types of pavement conditions, how good they are, how bad they are, and we want to take that technical document and translate it into a policy level type of document that the council as a body can refer to and make policy level decisions on. So in other words, in the future, every year we get a budget and we're appropriated a certain amount of funds for pavement management. We want the entire council to be able to look at this document and be able to identify which are the areas where we want to prioritize our pavement management improvement. And this allows us to more accurately forecast what we can do within the next couple of years, instead of kind of reacting year by year as to which segments of our streets we want to fix. So hopefully, I believe very soon we'll be bringing back something for the full council's consideration. It will not only be informational, but I think it also allows us to take that step forward so that we can get going with some of our streets, which we've heard from many residents that there are areas of our city that really does need fixing. So we're taking the measures to do that in a cost-effective and timely manner.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman Min. I'd just like to add to that. I think as a city, part of our job as council, as staff here, is to serve our citizens by planning forward. And, former Mayor Bloom is here, and he was big in pushing strategic planning. One of the things we're looking at is how to update and maintain our pavement within the city, because that's one of the biggest assets we own. And the way the pavement works is once it passes a certain point of degradation, it costs 3, 4, 10 times more to maintain. So the program that we're talking about that TransTech put together actually has detailed out each section of the city street. So perhaps I think in the near future, Mr. City Manager and staff maybe bringing back a way that we can not just doing the streets that we can with the current funding, and maybe perhaps looking at some kind of funding mechanism, and perhaps we need to go back to the citizens for that, a way to keep up our streets, because our streets have not really been redone or fully maintained since the city was established. And every year we're falling slightly behind, and towards a certain point, it's going to be extremely expensive and cost inhibiting to repair. So we want to think ahead, and that's why the ad hoc committee and then our state staff are thinking, and we would like to bring back some future time a strategy, and that strategy may include coming back to the citizens for some funding approvals. So I just want to add that to your comments. Any other comments? Okay. Next item is council items separate from the city manager's regular agenda. Councilmember Fish.
Okay. I just wanted to report that Mayor Pro Tem, you and I were invited by the Metropolitan Water District to attend their inspection trip of the State Water Project and the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta. I'm just going to make this really quick. We, of course, it was a two-day tour. We started off in the San Luis Reservoir, which is at about 26% of capacity, which, unless you see it in person, you really have no idea how low the water really is. So that was kind of an eye-opener. This entire tour was basically agricultural up north, and it kind of gave us a big eye-opener as to how the drought is affecting everyone up north a lot more than it's affecting us. I mean, we think, of course, that we have to conserve, we have brown lawns, but these up north, that's their livelihood. We did visit a private farm in Fairborough, California, a Joe Del
Bosque, I guess.
Bosque, who owns a 2,000-acre farm. He did say that his farm and a lot of the farms in the area are basically working at about 60% capacity, which means 40% of their land is desolate. They're losing, obviously, a lot of money. Water is extremely expensive, and it is trickling down to affecting, of course, their workers, buying equipment, shipping. So we will see the prices of fruits and vegetables going up in the future. It's inevitable. We can't help it. Water's just going to get more and more expensive. I did have a story to tell you. This farmer is very, very concerned with the drought and how it's affecting all of his neighbors and all of his, his other farmers. So last year he I guess found out in the paper that President Obama was going to go visit the area. So he tweeted President Obama and invited him to his farm. Well, he didn't hear anything. He didn't hear anything about a week before. Secret Service calls him and says, guess what? President Obama and Governor Brown are both going to be coming and visiting your farm, so get ready. So they took him out to the field. Secret Service, of course, got there early, set everything up. It was, you can imagine security was crazy. And one of the things they wanted him to do was they wanted him to dig a 6-foot hole, 6 foot round and 6 foot deep. So the farmer's like, oh, well, I'm going to have to get a backhoe. We just can't do this. So he pulled some strings, got some things done, got it all ready. President comes, and
I think before you say that.
No, go ahead.
Actually, he said, do you want me to fill that with water?
Yeah,
Just
do you want
since
me to
we're
fill?
talking about
Yeah.
water
He
conservation.
just couldn't imagine why. Now this is this huge empty field in the middle of nowhere, this huge hole. So he says, I don't even ask. I do. Secret Service tells me what to do. I do it. I'm so happy. Then a little later, President gets there and he says, why did you have me dig this huge hole? And he said, well, just in case there's an emergency, we push the president in the hole. That's their security measure.
That
So
makes
we
a
were
lot of
like,
sense.
really? And he goes, it was just the strangest thing. That's what they wanted. They wanted a hole right next to where he was going to speak. They had a big, and they said, if there's an emergency, that's what they do. So when you think about it, I mean, there's nowhere to run. I mean, it's just a huge, hundreds of thousands of acres in the middle of nowhere. So we thought we got a real kick out of that. And
We stopped by the hole.
we stopped by the hole, yeah. He was very informative, very passionate about what he believes in. He,
As long as they didn't cover it.
yeah, crazy. We also did, and this was another really good part of the tour, is we visited Fresno State University, which they are primarily an agricultural university, but they do have an entire technological center for water. And they're doing a lot of experiments right now with water conservation, water purifying. They opened the campus for us on a Sunday. We got a very nice tour. They're really doing a lot of things. People are really in trouble up there. So again, we have to think about not just our little city, what's going through it, but entire California is suffering. And then, of course, we went to Pyramid Lake, which Pyramid Lake is beautiful, but again, it's so low. And you don't realize these things unless you see them in person and how it's affecting everyone. Okay, did you want to add anything
I
else?
just want to add just one quick comment. I mean, water that we're drinking, actually, you didn't know, it's actually could have been from Lake Saster, all the way from up north. And really, again, I'm constantly amazed by the foresight of so many people before us that put in these projects and allow us to go to the tap and get water. And again, it's reminded that this city council, we need to do the same thing. We need to think ahead. And some of these projects had cost a lot of money. And I think, again, I mentioned about cost, pavement, and we may be coming back. I think as a city, as a community, we need to start thinking ahead. And it may cost some money today, but it's going to benefit future generations to come. So thank you for that report. Councilmember Men.
I'll just be very brief. Just want to remind everyone that this Thursday we have a Neighborhood Watch Area 9 meeting at Bethlehem Lutheran Church at 5319 Halifax Road. And it is I mentioned it was Area 9. We have one of our area leaders here, Lucy, and so every time I attend one of these, I'm always surprised at what I can learn. And it's also a great way to meet your neighbors. And there's free tacos.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Sternquist.
Couple of things. First of all, I wanted to thank both Councilmember Fish and yourself for taking the time from your busy schedules to fly up to San Jose and take the time to educate yourselves and see firsthand the issues that we talk so much about here at council meetings. So I applaud you both for going up and taking the time to do that. To Brian Cook, happy first anniversary here with the city, and just a shout out to Councilmember Yu and Councilmember Viscara and Councilmember Bloom for the dedication in actually doing a very intensive and exhaustive search for a city manager. And I think it just really proves that when you do your homework and you do it well, you land up with an excellent result. So I just want to congratulate you, and our new council members will definitely reap the rewards of the council's hard work. So thank you. I wanted to ask the council if you might entertain the thought of having our Lights on Temple City go back, not the Lights on Temple City, the holiday lights decorating contest go back to the Parks and Recreation Commission as it had been for quite some time. I believe the past couple of years it's gone to community development along with Yard of the Quarter, and I think it was a tradition that was set with our commission for so long and our commissioners, and they really did enjoy it, and I think that was probably the better place for it. So maybe staff can take a look at that. And is it a,
but it doesn't say anything about
it's not about that.
So-
And then to see if we can possibly, we would be on our Yard of the Quarter for fall, and if possibly we can do another drought tolerant yard to get an award, because so many more have come up in the city since the last one, and I think it was almost a year ago that we did that. So I think it might be time for us to take a look at doing another Yard of the Quarter and where we want that program to fall. I know it seems like Parks and Rec would be a much better place for those programs than community development that are, you know, dealing with so many more bigger issues, I think. So just a couple of thoughts on that, and if we could get some thoughts back from staff, that would be appreciated. One last thing is on, what is the date here? On Thursday, September 17th at 9 a.m., Carpet One in Temple City will be hosting a meet and greet with a 9/11 first responder that was there in New York City on the day of the 9/11 incident. Carpet One of Temple City, in association with Carpet One of America, is proud to be participating in a campaign with Stephen Siller Tunnel to Towers Foundation, which is an organization that builds homes for veterans who have been severely wounded. And so it's an opportunity to come out and hear a first responder speak firsthand about his experience, and everybody is welcome to come. And they're actually going to be presenting a shadow box with a piece of metal from Ground Zero to a Mel North and Barbara Fields. And I don't really know what the connection is unless they had a family member that was... Oh, they're the owners. Okay, so they're the owners. So please come out if you'd like to meet Mr. Stephen Siller and learn a little bit more firsthand about an experience at 9/11, from 9/11. And that's it.
Well, thank you, Councilmember Stringquist.
And I believe Councilmember Fish and
you-
myself are attending, and we have some certificates for them.
Yeah, well, thank you for taking the time to
Sure.
represent the city there. Again, I want to congratulate Mr. Cook, your first year anniversary, and then I think we really happy and fortunate to have you here. So with that, I'd like to open up for additional public comments. Anybody would like to address the city council? All right, please come on up. Jim.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. And just to piggyback on what Councilmember Fish was saying about that reservoir being at 26% and you have to see it, here's one thing that everyone can relate to. Think of when you're driving in your car and you see the gas gauge go down to a quarter, and you start thinking, well, you know, I got to fill it up. I got to, you know, do something, maybe drive slower to conserve. But with our water reservoirs, you can't turn on the tap to refill them. Thank you.
That's a good
It's a good
comment,
analogy.
Mr. Clerk.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. Any other comments, additional comment? Hearing none, I'd like to close the comment. We are adjourned for the night. Our next meeting is October 6th.